Hey guys, welcome back to Student Affairs Sit Down. I am here with the lovely Julia Pratt, a coordinator of programs for the Center for Student Activities. And I'm just so glad you came and wanted to stop by and talk to me for a little bit.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and I am here with the lovely Justin Sanchez.
Hello.
Yes, Community Director
Yes.
of Housing and Residence Life here at Mississippi State. So October is Career in Student Affairs Month. So I wanted to sit down with some young professionals that are working in student affairs and impacting students' lives, like all throughout campus. So I just want to start off and ask you, tell me, I guess your journey and how you got into student affairs as a career.
Yeah, so I went to undergrad at the College of William & Mary, which is kind of in Southern Virginia, and I was really involved in our campus programming board. I kind of just fell into that freshman year because I had stumbled out of our kind of student union, and there was this little concert going on outside. I thought, this is just so cute. What is this? So I was sitting down there and I was listening, and everyone had on these obnoxious, ugly, bright blue shirts, and it had this goofy logo on it. It said AMP. I said, well, what is that? Whatever this is, this horrendous shirt, I just need to be a part of that. And that was the programming board in their goofy shirts, which I came to love after many years. And so I was involved in that all 4 years, served as our special events chair and then the executive director my senior year. And my advisor for AMP, or Alma Mater Productions, the programming board, kind of explained to me what higher education as a field was, because I had really no idea. I just knew that I kind of wanted to continue doing what I was doing at the school, planning events and working with student leaders and student leadership and all that sort of stuff. And so he explained to me, this could be your career. And I went to Mississippi State University to get my master's, and I worked in this office. So I applied to a bunch of grad schools, Mississippi State being one of them. And this is the only school that I came to visit for because we had an in-person sort of interview fair. And I remember showing up for interviews, and they didn't match me with the Center for Student Activities. And that was the one office I really wanted to work at. And so I went up to Amelia, who was the director at the time, and I said, well, girl, I want to work here. So what are we going to do about that? Because I want to work in this office. I don't want to work over there. I want to work over here. And she said, well, let's get you an interview. And so I ended up interviewing, and I got that as a graduate assistant. And I started working there. And I actually worked at the desk right beside the desk that my advisor worked at when he was a student graduate assistant. So that was always a very sweet, precious thing. And then I did that for about a year and a half. And then I transitioned into a full-time role in the office when somebody else left. And so I did that alongside my master's program for a little bit. And now I just work full-time in the office. So here I am. I just kind of stumbled my way into it and just kind of tripped and fell face first into this role.
Originally, student affairs was nowhere on my radar. I went into my undergraduate experience a psychology major, wanting to pursue a career in criminal forensics. Decided fall semester, my first year, freshman year, that was not what I wanted to do because criminal minds scared the heck out of me. Yes. And then I was like, well, I want to do something that gives back to people. And so I switched my degree to environmental science, and then thought I wanted to pursue a pre-med career. Had a really good heart-to-heart with my parents, and they shared some good feedback that blood and all of that just wasn't me. And so it took that extra person to tell me what I needed to hear. And so by my sophomore year, I was heavily involved on campus. I was an orientation leader. I was going to conferences, really into the nitty-gritty of student affairs. And it took another person, our director at the time for our orientation program, to say, well, did you know that you could do this full time? And I was like, what do you mean? Right. I could do this? This is a job? And so I got involved in housing in undergrad, and really met some good mentors and role models who helped shape me as a leader, and really helped me realize that the same goal of wanting to give people a stronger fighting chance in this world that I originally wanted to do through a medical field, I could do the same and achieve those same goals by pursuing a career in student affairs. And so signed up for that, pursued a lot of additional opportunities through my involvement, got my master's in educational leadership. I was a grad for housing and residence life at a different institution. And then I found my way here at State and have just been so impressed and pleased with the opportunities. That's something that Student Affairs just does so well, is create opportunities, but also introduce others to opportunities, like individuals in the field as well. That can really help us progress and grow. And so not only achieve our goals of personal and professional, but encourage students to kind of do the same thing and get that like same opportunity to change lives in an impactful way. And for me, that's why I do the work that I do and why I decided to pursue a career in student affairs.
What has been like your favorite event that you've done? I know you do a lot, so I know it's probably like tough, but if you could narrow it down.
I actually think my answer is pretty easy. It's our last day of classes carnival that we do. That was a tradition that I snatched away from my undergrad institution. I said, well, you're coming home with me.
Yes.
And so it really is exactly what it sounds like. It's just on the last day of classes. We get all the students together. We have kind of traditional carnival rides. We have carnival foods, games, t-shirts, music, all that sort of stuff. And it's just sort of a celebration of the year for the students, but also for the student affairs kind of division and all of our faculty and staff, just to kind of like say thank you for everything for the year and have a great summer type of thing. And it's just so joyful, and it's always so sunny and happy, and the vibes are just, they're just so great. They're just I'm eating them up. And our first year we did it, no one really knew what was going on. They were like, what is this thing? Because we had never done something like that before, but we still had several hundred students come. And then the second year we did it, we had well over 1,000. And so I'm hoping that every year we'll have more and more people coming out, and they'll give me more money to do it. Kylie, if you're listening, just cut me that check. Cut me that check. So that every year it could just be a bigger and better event. And my goal is for this to be like such a tradition that people just know it's coming and they plan for it, and all of the students come on out.
I went this past year, so it was really fun. Like all the rides, I was like, okay, y'all got
rides
rides and things.
I kind of ate it up a little bit, not gonna lie.
It was fun. It was really fun.
So within housing, I also have the opportunity to advise one of our student leadership organizations, the Residence Hall Association. They are a really kooky and fun little group. I've been able to advise them ever since I started here at State. And seeing those student leaders become who they want to be. I think within student affairs, that's what our goal is when working with students, is just seeing them be happy, be confident, feel safe and secure in what they're doing. And so achieving that with the student leaders, but also allowing them the opportunity to grow and learn from themselves too, for me is what I consider the fun part of the job, aside from like developing those really intentional and personal relationships with those students too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people wouldn't really know like the impact that organizations like the RHA can have, because I know when I was a freshman, my roommate was in I think
core.
Yeah, she was in core. So like it was very much a fun thing, and it kind of got me plugged in and kind of made me feel comfortable when I wasn't getting into organizations and things like that. So it's RHA is like a great thing. I remember my freshman year, y'all had the haunted house in Rice.
Yes.
It was, when I tell you, that's like one of my favorite like college memories, was like going to that like with my cute little friend group, and like we all went. We were so scared, and that was like my first haunted house, but like it was like I was so nervous, y'all. Like it was actually so crazy. But I love that. Like little things like that can like make and kind of push freshmen and any student to like keep going when college does get hard.
Yeah, and as a professional, like being able to see the student leaders like who plan those like big events, like where they are at the end of that, with like learning from like mistakes, trials and errors, and again just like them finding their confidence in themselves, worth everything. But then hearing those like success stories of like how core helps people get involved and like achieve what they want to see out of their experience at State, I'm like, yes, small wins.
Small wins, and then they kind of like have a domino effect and like really
small
create
win, big
wins.
impact.
I love that. Small win, big impact. It's great.
Great.
So like what advice would you give to like a senior like me that doesn't really know like what they want to do post graduation or post undergrad? What kind of advice would you give some student that is like kind of contemplating whether they want to have a job in student affairs or don't really know much about it?
Mm-hmm. So I would definitely say talk to as many people as you can within the Division of Student Affairs, because student affairs is not just like housing and residence life. It's not just student organizations.
Right.
Like there's individuals who do the marketing communication within student affairs. There's a budget and finance team that manages like the revenue and like the profits for the division as well. There's a lot of administrative, like if that's something that you're really passionate about. So I would definitely say talk to as many people as you can, because we have Dean of Students, Housing and Residence Live, student activities, student life, counseling services, health promotion and wellness. And so there's opportunity to really think about like how you can apply what you're already learning. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a forward-facing role if that's something that intimidates people too. And it could be something that's behind the scenes, administrative.
Yes.
But I would also say like with that, like really thinking about what do you want to get out of the career within student affairs? Do you want to work with student groups and have that like impact within students, or do you want to create some processes that are going to last, like your experiences with the department or the office that you're working in? And then like bringing those to those conversations, right? And so bringing those like goals, those aspirations. I recently just met with a student, and he's pursuing an opportunity through NASPA, which is a student affairs organization. And we started the conversation with, why do you want to pursue a career in student affairs? And so we had the conversation to help them pick a mentor. And so hearing about how they wanted to help people find their home and like find opportunity to really engage with students outside of just like the classroom space, and create that like long lasting impact that makes a student want to stay at the institution they're at, helped me as like a professional in it to think about like, okay, who do I know? Because student affairs is such a small world once you really start to get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yes.
And so people know anyone and everyone. You just have to know or have that ability to go and talk to that person.
Yeah.
And so networks run deep. And so just having that ability to hear from different perspectives too, and get that insight from a variety of people. And that all starts with taking that initiative to just go and talk to people.
Just talk to people, guys. Just
right.
talk to people. It's really hard. It's really tough. It can be kind of nerve-wracking, but just kind of like one of my best friend, she loves to say, I'm like, I'm scared. And she's always like, just do it scared. Like, do it while you're scared.
Right. Yes.
And you still did it. It doesn't matter if you were scared. You still did it.
We talked about that. The best products come from the most stress and anxiety.
Yes.
Because you invest and you just care so much that's where those feelings and sentiments are coming from, and you pour all of that into the work that you do. And sometimes that is a conversation.
Yeah.
And sitting with someone face to face and like having dialogue around what you want to do, even if you don't know what you want to do. And so having that ability is great. And in a field where people are intentionally here to help students succeed, that's the biggest thing I can say of like, if you're nervous, know that like we're here because we want to provide that support.
So I think my best piece of advice is if there's something within the collegiate space that you find interesting, that you're passionate about, whether that's working with students or working with a student support service office or anything in between, just go for it. You don't have to stay forever in any job that you do. Right. You can go and work in retail. You can go and work in higher education. You can go and work in medicine, and you can change your mind. And I think sometimes people have this idea that, oh, well, I went to school for this one thing and this is where I'm going to start working, so this is my career for the rest of my life. And some people do operate that way, but I don't. I have always told people when they say, like, what's your next move? Like, do you want to move up? Do you want to go laterally? Do you want to change, like, what part of higher education you work in? And I say, I don't know. I'm just going to go work at the amusement park. I literally tell people I'm going to go work at Six Flags. Like, I don't know. And it doesn't matter. Like, it's just like wherever the wind takes you, like wherever your passions fall, those will change over time, and that's okay. Yeah. You are only on this earth for like this tiny bit of time. So like do something that is fun and interesting to you, because otherwise you're going to be miserable at your job all day. And I simply won't stand for that. So just do whatever is fun.
I feel like we have like been told like we're good at a lot of different things. Yeah. And like it's just like just because I'm good at this doesn't mean I have to do it.
For sure.
If it's something I'm really passionate about, but if I get like bored with it, I don't know if I want to stay in that for you know 20 years until I like retire and do whatever. But I think you saying that kind of gives people a little bit of hope of like, hey, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to not know like what your next move is and like what your next step is. So.
For sure. And the cool thing about higher education is that it really spans so many different types of jobs. Yes. So like you can go into higher education, get your master's in higher ed or whatever the case might be, and you can start kind of where I am with student activities, and then you can move into career, you can move into UREC, you can move into academic support, and you can do so many types of things. Mm-hmm. So you get to have that sort of flexibility while remaining, you know, in that collegiate space, working with students. Or maybe one day you decide, I don't want to be in such a student-facing role. Like, it can be a lot. And then you can move over to a more administrative role, or you can move into kind of a support role. There's so many types of jobs within higher education, so you really get to do any type of thing within this field. And I think that's a cool thing for someone that knows they want to settle down in one place. Like, I know I want to live in Starkville for the rest of my life, or I know I want to live in Pennsylvania for the rest of my life, or whatever. Like, you know, I want to have a family here. I want to work at this particular university. And you can have that without being stuck in one role. You can kind of move around higher education and be in different spaces while keeping whatever that loyalty is that you feel.
For sure. And I'm going to put you in the hot seat a little bit.
Right. Okay.
It's not that bad.
We're the hot wings. Is that what we're doing? Is that like, the show?
Where's the milk? Like, where's the milk? So I'm just going to ask you, who is your dream Bulldog Bash artist?
Oh my God. See, this is not going to be an interesting answer because no one cares about this band but me. Which sounds rude, and it is, but I don't mean it to be. But the band is called The Deer Hunter.
Okay.
And they're kind of like a prog rock band.
Okay.
They're so, bro, oh my God. Don't even get me started. They're so good, it makes me mad. Like, they just re-released an album, and I'm angry listening to it because it's so good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love them. Yes. But if I had to pick an artist that people know and care about.
I love that. I'm just going to cut it off right there.
If I really had to pick, I would maybe do someone like Pink, because I want to see her flying across the like I want to see her going from Regent's Bank to Most. Like, I need to see you flip-flopping across these 19-year-olds' heads.
Like, I need to see her flying across Main Street. Mm-hmm. Like, I need that.
Yeah. Like, I have to see that happen.
No, like,
can you imagine?
Like, could you imagine that?
I could, and I am imagining it. Like, you know how they string those lights across? That could be Pink.
From building?
We could put the lights on her. And she could be flip-flopping all around this place.
It's just like, so what? I'm still a rock star. What is a song that's like in rotation right now? Maybe like a newer song or something that just came out?
It's been, truthfully, Olivia Rodrigo's new album.
Yes.
I was a big Trader fan. Again, don't know, not any kind of like feelings, but I just love a good emotional song and the story that she tells through her new album. I'm just invested.
It took me a minute to get on the train because I was like a big fan of Sour. Like, Sour was like it for me. I was a sophomore in college when it came out, so I was like, yes, this is good. I didn't know if I was gonna like it, and one of my friends, she was like, Candice, you gotta listen to it. And I love it. It's so great.
I was right there with you. The first time I heard it through, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
But then I was like, you know what? Let me look at the lyrics while I listen to this, and that helped tremendously. So if you haven't watched the lyrics while you listen to Olivia Rodrigo's new album, do it. It helps.
It's good. What's your favorite song on it? Do you know?
It is either The Grudge or Making the Bed.
Those are my two favorite ones, actually. Like, that's crazy. Like, I love those two. And they're like the saddest songs on the album, but we're just emotional people.
Right.
And we're okay. We promise. The last question is, since this is a podcast.
Right. Is this about to be a pun?
It is.
Oh,
I'm
God.
so sorry, y'all.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing to get from the pod? And then last thing, since this is a podcast, what is your favorite thing to get from the pod? A little snacky snack?
Okay, yes. So, thankfully, I'm so fortunate to be located and housed in Griffiths Hall. That's where my office is.
Okay.
And so, if you have been around Griffiths, you know that Pod Market is right across, or right in the building, directly across from my office. So I stare at it every day when I walk in. And my go-to is honestly those little Uncrustables, those peanut butter and jelly Uncrustables. They are my go-to lunch when I need something quick. Or when I just want something like a little bit on the sweeter side. That is my go-to. And I will be so sad the day I walk in there and there is no Uncrustables. But I would have to say that is my go-to pod snack.
Any last words before we boot scoot on out of here?
Boot scoot? Okay. No, I would just say, if you're interested in student affairs, we got lots of resources all around campus that you could take a look at. Lots of faculty staff that could tell you a lot about kind of their experience. So just go up and chat with someone.
Do you have any more information you want to give out about a career in student affairs before we go?
Honestly, just trust yourself. At the end of the day, you know you the best. And so you are going to be the one to ultimately make those decisions and find those opportunities. And so I know within the decision-making process, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt. But trust who you are, where you've come from, what you want to do. And at the end of the day, I always tell my students this. I lead with it in everything that I do. Remember that you're a human first, student second, and you're everything else third. And so when you're making those decisions, really think about what is going to help you as a human being feel fulfilled in the work that you do. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Especially when I read the word young professional. Made my day.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next month on Student Affairs Sit Down.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Of course.
And that is all we have for this episode of Student Affairs Sit Down. I'll see y'all next month.